We are live. Okay, sounds a bit early, so I thought I'd wait a little bit. Give it another minute or two, and then I'll start. And so I didn't have a title. I didn't have a title for the stream, so I just what itchy nose. I just thought about like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing going live on YouTube? So that's the question. What am I talking about? What am I talking about? What am I talking about? So that is the title, at least for now. That's the title. That's the title. Yeah, that's the title. What am I talking? Sorry. What am I talking about? So that's the strangest thing. Like, that's the strangest thing. That in one way, it's such an alive and fresh subject, to the point that it doesn't have like previous material. It's a fresh, alive thing that's being spoken about. And so therefore it doesn't really have a reason or a purpose. It doesn't really have a point to it. It doesn't really have a heading and then subheadings, and I'm not coming on YouTube to talk about how to cook a lasagna or something, or like how to tidy a home. How to get better at managing your budget or something. Like this subject is so alive and it's so without a heading, like it's like it doesn't really have a subject. It doesn't really have a subject. Like in the conceptual manner, like a lasagna or the house thing or the budgeting thing, that has a specific subject, a specific like area, whereas what is being spoken about, like it's primary or prior to learning, it's prior to a subject. Obviously we give it a name, we give it a subject, we give it a title, but it's not really true. It's just a way to categorize it. But actually, in the actual experience, the direct experience, what's actually being pointed to and spoken about doesn't really belong in a category or a subject. It's beyond everything. Well, that's why it's so beautiful. And that's why when you resonate with it, you really resonate with it. You really like, you can't give it up because it's so profound and so beautiful that it's because it's beyond the habitual, it's beyond the habitual way of thinking. It's beyond dualism. It's beyond subject object. It's beyond labels and definitions. And so there's like a total tickling, like it tickles you. It's beyond like anything you've known before in the human world. It's like you're infected by it. It's infectious. You fall in love with it because it's beyond the norm. It's beyond the mind. It's beyond the intellect. It's beyond the limitation we've been used to through living through the mind. And so it's the funniest thing to talk about, and the simplest thing, and the most beautifulest thing, and the most profound thing, and the most liberating thing, and the most lovely thing, loveliest thing, the most mind-blowing thing, and the most impossible thing, and the most beautifulest thing. Did I already say that? It's the most beautifulest thing. And it really is what humans long for, and what humans are essentially looking for. Even when we say we're interested in awakening or enlightenment or whatever, like highly regarded thing we can think of. What we're really looking for is this simplicity. Not any of that stuff, but just this simplicity, this peace of being, this joy of being, this naturalness of being. That's it. This is all that's longed for. Just this naturalness of being, this simpleness of being. So all the efforts, all the acrobats, mental acrobats we do in our stories, it's like, and all that's really longed for is the simpleness of being. And that is simply what is being spoken about. This naturalness that we are, this beingness that we are. This isness that is, it simply is. And this beingness that is being spoken of, it's not about sitting in a monastery quietly, silently. It's not about behaving in a certain way or being a certain way or living a certain way or anything like that. Feeling a certain way or thinking a certain way. It's not anything like that. How we imagine. And that's what's so beautiful about this subject. That it really bursts all these ideas we've picked up about this subject, about being a a good person or pure person or whatever, positive behaviors, so-called negative behaviors. It's not really about any of that. It's this peeling back, this revelation of this emptiness, this beingness, this isness, whatever you want to call it, this beingness. That is what's living. That is what is. And this narrative of someone, this idea, this sense of being this story happening of someone, this recognition of that being a story, that being this movement that appears in thought, in feeling. Now that isn't who you are or what you are, that's an appearance happening. So it's this waking up of beingness. It's waking up of beingness, as opposed to you as a person waking up. It's this waking up of beingness, which is always awake, but it's seen to be clouded by this personal identity, this personal movement of someone in time. So this isn't a personal thing. It isn't that someone can wake up, someone can recognize and wake up and become or awake or something. It's this like, it's pointing back to beingness, and the person can then know that and know beingness, but then it seems to be this process that happens of this beingness then like moving forward or expanding, or that's the feeling of it, like the beingness becoming primary as opposed to the mind still being in the driving seat, knowing being. It's this beingness like taking over. I mean, these are all words trying to paint that picture, trying to paint the picture of what seems to happen. So this is what's being spoken about, that beingness, the empty fullness. And so it seems to be a resonance with that, a resonance of that being. Which can be heard or felt or happen in these types of talks and meetings where this is being directly pointed to or talked about. There's resonance that's being pointed to and described, pointing beyond the individual, or pointing beyond the thoughts, pointing beyond the personal. It's so frigging beautiful. So that is what's being spoken about, that which isn't a word, that which has no language. as someone who has difficulty, has always had difficulty with language, of course this subject of course this subject was very attractive. This resonance with this. So you're welcome to ask anything in the chat box. Hakub, hi Hakub. It's the beingness. Hakub, Hakub. Is the beingness the only thing alive and conscious here? The beingness is, yeah, the beingness is all there is. Like, it's everything. Or the emptiness is everything. It's everything. Yeah. I feel like the emptiness is the beingness, and the beingness is everything. So it is the only thing. It's the only thing. Even if we believe the mind's a separate thing, that thoughts are a separate thing, I'm a separate thing, the sense of I'm, like, where does that come from? Like, what is that appearing in? Where's the truth behind that, or the falseness behind that? Where's it coming from? There is this fullness or aliveness or beingness, this everything, and then there's this mystery, this emptiness, this not a thing. It's a mystery. We can assume that these two things are separate things, that there is emptiness or not a thingness, and then there's thingness, there's everything, fullness. And we can say that fullness comes out of nothingness, or aliveness is coming out of emptiness. But that seems to be more of a conceptual thing, like a logical thing for our minds. How our minds grasp things is more of a logical order. So you can imagine emptiness, and then there's fullness, then there's beingness or aliveness, as if it's a separate thing. But I'm just waiting for it to like form. But that would make emptiness into a thing. It would make it into a thing that's like elsewhere, somewhere else. Rather than right here, like a partner to everything. Not even a partner, but like it's right here. It's not like emptiness and then there's everything or fullness. It's like it's partner, it's lover, it's right here with it. It can't be separated out from it. They're intertwined. They are the same thing. They are the same thing. That's why you can't find emptiness. You can't find it. You can't find beingness either. Like it's like beingness seems to have a quality to it, like a sense, palpable sense to it. It's beingness. It's aliveness. And because emptiness doesn't have that, it doesn't have that palpableness to it. It just is. Oh, I can't. It just is. It's just. It's totally empty, but it's full. Like emptiness can't be spoken about. In a way, you could say, but beingness speaks for it. Like beingness is the expression of emptiness. It expresses itself through being, through its aliveness. It plays and forms. So it really isn't, it isn't separate from it. Yeah. And so the mind goes off looking for it in time, looking for it in thought, looking for it in ideas, the landscape of time, the landscape of thought. But it can't find it within that because it's here. That's appearing here. So you can feel like grasping and trying, and you can feel like that when that's happening. This trying to seek for it, seek for freedom in time, in thoughts. When non-duality talks, meetings, whatever, are actually not about trying to give you a path in this domain. It's not trying to add more stuff to this. It's resonating this. It's resonating this presence or aliveness or beingness, this emptiness, is pointing back to this, pointing back to the naturalness of being, not to intellect, not to ideas. I mean, that happens too. There's obviously there's communication happening, language happening, ideas being shared, but it's primarily it's pointing outside of that, outside of thoughts and language, this simplicity of being. That really isn't useful to the mind. To the mind's like, oh, bored with that, or not, you know, it's not satisfying to the mind. The mind rejects this. The mind wants a job, a mission. And that's probably really natural as well for the mind to want a job and a mission and a thing to do and focus on. Interests and things. But for this, what's being spoken about here, or in this subject, it's not for the mind. It's simply not for the mind. Thank you, Hakub. Hakub, maybe? Thank you. Any more last minute questions or anything? I'm saying last minute because it's getting dark here. I have washing outside to bring in off the line before it gets too dark. Just give it a few more minutes. Okay, well, thank you for joining. It's been lovely to stream about this. Okay, lots of love. Bye.